Guys, welcome to my late spring tomato care video. The working title is Broken, Bent, and Bottom Rot. After a month or so of prolonged periods of rain on and off this past 4 to 5 weeks or so, I'm worried that some of my tomatoes, especially those in containers, may be lacking in nutrients, especially calcium, because there's been so much rain. This has actually been a blessing because I've been out of the garden completely for about a week and a half. Things are a little out of control and you will see messes everywhere today. But the rain did subside a while back, maybe a week ago. And now I actually have to water for the very first time of the season. So my goal today is to make sure my containers are watered well. And then we will be treating our tomatoes with that potion I just showed you that I mixed up today. Today's mixture is basically a little milk, water, some liquid fish fertilizer, base fertilizer, and controversially, I know some of y'all won't agree with this, Tums that I pre-dissolved before mixing into the gallon there. You'll notice lots of projects left undone. I will get back to them eventually. I am going to take care of this ant problem here real quick because it looks very extreme. I'm updating my tomato pepper map today as well as we go. The first tomato we're going to work on today is this purple heart dwarf next to my front porch in a container. And it looks like I mulched him when I planted him, but I did not support him. This is a dwarf, so we are not going to cut off any suckers. We will thin out some of this foliage and leaves here towards the bottom so we can get airflow. I just happen to have these stakes, so I'll just use those today for support. I'm going to water it well before I give it just a big dash of that mixture I have in the milk jug. You can see, look, I've already got some baby fruits there. I can actually see them now that we took off a little bit of that foliage, and I think it's ready to go. Now I've moved on to the center of my front yard where I have a cherry tree, and in front of that I've got, I think, 6 of these whiskey barrel containers with hot peppers. I am going to water them well. They were very, very dry. They desperately needed the water. I do need to get some mulch on these guys, and that will go on my to-do list. And you can see this beautiful butterfly weed here. And then also, I was going to talk to you about my mystery pepper right here. I wasn't sure if that was Potapino or Shishito, but it ended up being Potapino. That is a hybrid. So I did pick one of these peppers, and I took it in the house. Later this particular day, I chopped it up, and we tried it. And it does have a spice to it, but it's not the same as last year. And that's kind of what you get when you save seeds from a hybrid. You're not going to have the same as you grew, the plant that you grew, that you collected the seed from. But they're going to be usable. I will definitely keep these plants. I will keep the fruit. It wasn't super spicy. It was kind of like a cross between a green pepper and a jalapeno. Behind this cherry tree, I actually have some tomatoes. I just planted these about a week and a half-ish ago. They were kind of the leftover plants. This is Virginia Sweet. I have two of the Opoka tomatoes here that I'm just going to let grow rogue. I do have these push-in stakes that I'm going to possibly use fishing line to make like a Florida weave at some point if I get time. Otherwise, they're just going to grow and take over as they see fit. And then this is Whitmore. This is my front yard Whitmore. I have one in the backyard too. I'm running an experiment to see which does better, front versus backyard. So backyard has less sun. You can see I'm starting to set some blossoms there. You'll notice he is tucked in front of my butterfly bush, which is huge, and that is to hide this tomato plant from my HOA so they can't see it from the road. But I'm hopeful the deer will leave all my tomatoes alone out in the front yard, and we will actually get some fruit from these guys. And here are the Virginia Sweets after I tied them up. All of these guys in this area got a nice dash of our potion that I have mixed up for today. I have sprayed my front yard a couple times with deer spray. The problem is because we have had all that rain, you have to reapply after rain. So I really need to get out here, take care of these guys again. I do have other measures I'll talk about in a separate video. As I'm watering other containers in my front yard, I thought I'd show you guys a few things, like this beautiful soapwort. It is actually flowering right now. It looks so pretty. And also in this area, I have my artichokes. I'm going to give them some of that fertilizer as well. They don't really need the calcium, but they do need that fish fertilizer. But look, one of my favorite dahlias has started to bloom. I love this one. I love the colors. The flowers that come out are very different. You have some that have the open yellow center, and then some that are more like the pom-pom and the closed, beautiful, fluffy flower. And so my pomegranate is blooming. You can see it's so beautiful. Desperately need to do some pruning though after all of the flowering. I'm not sure if I'll get any fruit this year. Usually do not. Now, on the right side of my driveway, I have this area here, but behind it is kind of like a secret little garden space. And I'm going to take you up here in just a second. We're going to go here through this makeshift path and I will show you. But first, I want to show you the red bee balm. It's blooming currently. I love red bee balm. It's a native here in Virginia. Now, the only problem with it is it gets powdery mildew so easily. Even this one in full sun in a very hot location right next to my driveway. Yes, it has powdery mildew. So up behind the zebra grass is the secret garden area. This container I just planted 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, with Braveheart tomato, 2 of my leftover green peppers that look really tiny and horrible. All of the space back in through here is one of the areas I was working on about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago when I pulled out my back. It was just a long week of I hurt my hip and then I hurt my back and I kept going and I made things so much worse and I was having back spasms and that kept me out of the garden for like a good week and a half. But now I'm back slowly but steadily. Wanted to show you that I finally got a monarch caterpillar eating on my milkweed. So I have been planting some things back in through here today. You saw I put the silver slicer seeds down. I'm going to put okra right here. And then I put a few of the Emerald Delight squash seeds in through here. And then I still have a lot of work to do soon. As soon as I'm 100% able, need to get back to digging up those crepe myrtle suckers. I've got so much to really get done, but I'm trying to ease back into it so I don't hurt myself again. I'm up at the top of my driveway and I have a garden space to the right of the driveway, and then I've got this space that goes past the top of the driveway on the right. That's my raised bed area, and I'm just showing you some of the tomatoes here in containers. They will all get watered well. They will get a dash of that little potion we mixed up. You can see I've got some babies getting pretty big here on the blushing star. I'm really excited to try that hybrid. And I think I'm going to take you over to the right of the driveway and we're going to look at the big mess I've got over here. But here's an overwintered cayenne that is starting to put on some flowers. I've got a massive mat of thyme taking over my walkway. I've got my beautiful hardy hibiscus leafing out. Purple Prudence back in there, or is it Prudence Purple? I think I use them interchangeably. The Purple Heart look incredible right here. There's actually 3 and they are dwarfs. I can't wait to try that tomato. Really, really excited to try that tomato. And I think I'm just giving you a quick little overview here of what's going on. I really need to work on this area as well. I did do some work and then I had to quit. I really want to try the chocolate beauty pepper as well. I think that'll be interesting. Nice, beautiful, chocolatey covered pepper. And I do have a cantaloupe still hanging on. I didn't think it was going to make it. And I'm hoping I can put it up that trellis. We will see how that goes, or if the deer will leave the melons alone. I did have my beautiful red cabbage hanging off the side of this container. It was growing so well and it was delicious. I made a sweet and sour red cabbage, like a hot cabbage dish with it. It was really good. got a bunch of sunflowers and spider flowers coming up in the space between those two areas, the secret garden area and then this kind of like container area to the right of the driveway. All of these containers were watered well and treated as well. And I'm going to move back up here. Well, there's my mess. I really need to take care of that. Yeah, so I put some tromboncino seed there, a couple. I'm going to have it grow up that baker's rack. I think that'll look so pretty. I grew a personal sized watermelon on that last year, and I really like the look of it. Quick overview of some of the tomatoes here on the trellis.
The next day.
A question I get asked a lot on my gardening channel is in relation to my videos on taping a tomato stem back together. And so a minute ago I was trying to push one of these stems that was growing through my fence onto the other side, and what did I hear? Snap. So this guy right here, I quickly supported him with a clip, ran in the house to get my tape, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate the break. I'm going to tape it back together with some kind of soft tape, masking tape, painter's tape, craft tape, and I'm going to put it on firmly but gently, if that makes sense. So it needs to hold the two pieces together, but it doesn't need to be super duper tight to prevent a little bit of further growth in the future. You don't want it loose, but you don't want it super tight. I'm going to hop over to the other side so I can get a better look, and we can tape this. You can clearly see the break. Man, was that a loud snap. It really was. So you can see, this is important. There is still a connection between the top of the break and below the break. If this was a complete cut across, complete severance, you would not want to attempt taping the tomato plant back together. If it's still got some connective tissue together, holding it partially together, this will work. I've done it so many times. Every year I'm too aggressive with my plants. I always snap a tomato stem or two or three or four throughout the season. So I'm just going to gently wrap it, and then we're going to support it because we don't want any pressure while it's trying to grow some roots. It will actually grow roots. Now you can see very closely now that there are still some parts of the plant that have a connection. Over on this side, a little bit on this side. So I've got the tape kind of pressed into the back of the stem here, and I'm just gonna try to keep the plant as steady as possible and just tape it up like that. And I'm gonna water this guy really well down at the roots, and then I'm gonna get some better support going here because I don't want this to bend or move. Keep it as still as possible until the roots take hold. I'll check the tape in a couple weeks because personally I don't like blue on my plants. I don't like that color. It's just too much of a contrast there. So I'll get some green painter's tape probably and check this in a couple weeks and rewrap it, and it should do just fine. Now I'm in the backyard. I'm showing you my two brick L-shaped beds. This one has Purple Heart and Eva Purple. And in this container on the very end, well, I'm just showing you some of the disease issues starting here. Now these plants in this L-shaped bed, the Eva Purple and the Purple Heart, they were planted about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They were just some of the leftover plants. They look rough to begin with because they were just living in those cups for so long. But I do notice there's some issues back here with this Purple Prudence and also that Eva Purple we just looked at. I'm going to remove all of these diseased lower leaves. You can see something has really been eating on this plant. There's a lot of tears and bite marks in the leaves. Yeah, but I did mulch this bed when I planted them, and I think they will all pull out of this rough start that they had. They actually look better than they did in those cups. This is my little dwarf Tennessee suited, and those were planted late as well. I couldn't find people to take all my plants. I had to find places to stick them. There are my early girls on that other brick L-shaped bed. You'll notice some mess in the background as well. Eventually, I will get everything done someday, I hope. I'm really pleased to see the early girls are standing true to their name, and they've got a lot of babies that are getting kind of big in development. So it's supposed to be like a 56-day, I think, of maturity plant, and I'm really pleased so far. So back over here with the Prudence Purple, you can see the dark spots there. Definitely need to take care of this plant and get it healthy again. So I just snapped another tomato part off, you can see. This is actually a sucker. It is capable of growing a whole new plant. Because it's just barely hanging on, I'm not gonna tape it back together. I'm just gonna cut the sucker off. And we have rain coming, lots of rain. So I'm just gonna stick this down in the pot, and it can grow a whole new plant that way instead of trying to keep it alive by taping it back together. Here is the sucker. Ideally, I would have used pruners to cut that off because I did leave a little bit of a tear, but I did trim it up with the pruners. Hopefully it will heal over nicely. The rain coming kind of bothers me a little bit though. Now, on the leaves I cut off, there was something eating on these a lot. And I feel like that may have led to some of the spotting and disease that's going on. So I'm going to toss all this into the woods. And after the rain, I may treat this with little diatomaceous earth or keep an eye to see what is eating this plant. Moving on from the early girls, I need to address an issue. I've got a bent tomato stem, a very heavy, big stem that is bent over. It has fruit on it. You can see those babies. Do not want to lose this part of the tomato plant. So I need to get this supported immediately. It's not cut, it's just bent. And we can self-correct it with some support, and I should still be able to get all of the fruit fully developed and happy and healthy plant. You can see someone was digging in this pot, possibly my dog, possibly Chickmunk, I'm not quite sure. I will refill that soil and put the mulch back down. You can see our plant is now supported and the stem is straight, and I think it will go on to be very happy. And you can see my other big slicers in this area. I've got Virginia Sweets, I've got Mater Sandwich, and Kellogg's Breakfast. They look okay at this point, so not a lot of work to do on those guys. And now my new tomato area in front of my deck are these container tomatoes. There's several different ones here in the area. I've got Foxfire Pink, that's a semi-determinate. I've got Blushing Star in the ground to the right of it. And I'm thinking eventually I will need to trellis up onto the deck railing because it's an indeterminate. And there are some leaves down there I need to snip off. I have a Golden Marconi here in this pot that has had some severe, probably earwig or some type of damage. And Tennessee Suited in that container. I think that's a bicolor tomato, but I could be wrong. And then this last container here is Jamestown. That is just a determinate. Hoping it'll be good, but I love Ace 55. You can see damage on that leaf as well. Could be earwigs, could be grasshoppers even. Haven't seen those yet, but they probably are out. They love to damage leaves like that. Looks like something damaged one of my hydrangea flowers as well. So yeah, this area is pretty stable. I did give them some of my little treatment there in the gallon jug. This is my backyard, Whitmore. So he's getting less sun than his twin in the front yard, who's getting pretty much full sun. This is more part sun, and he still has the same growth. It looks like he's got the beginnings of flower buds, just like his twin out front. So I'm anxious to do this experiment and see how they do. I had an extra sun sugar stuck in the ground about a week and a half ago. I'm going to use just a basic TP to try to trellis that up. My beans are looking really good. I'm starting to get baby beans on there. That was a very good project I did. I'm really happy to have that space to grow beans now. And yeah, you can see I've got my mulch down there over the 2 different tomatoes. Now for the green stalks, I do have some peppers, I do have eggplants, and the only tomatoes I have in my green stalks this year are the micro dwarfs. So I'll talk about all of those in a separate video because I usually just kind of do that separately. And I do have, this is the bottom rot issue we need to talk about. So this purple heart, I noticed it does have one fruit that has blossom end rot, and you will see that here just a second. It's always disappointing to see this. I'm not surprised though with all the rain we've had, especially with your container plants. They're more prone because of all that washout of water and nutrients. And this is in a self-watering container too. I usually don't like to use those for tomatoes, but for some reason I did. Hopeful that will be the last fruit that we have that has the blossom end right for the whole season. That would make me so happy. And I do have a few more dwarf type eggplants and tomatoes growing in these containers as well. And this is like a part sun location. Hopefully they will do well. You can see I've got some plants there dying that need to get in the ground. Just a lot of things that need to get done. The broccoli needs to get pulled. It's not getting enough sun at this point to head up. I'm going to take it all out and put something else in this bed. I'm not sure what yet. Carrots will stay. They're doing great. My onions, I'm hopeful they'll start to bulb up quicker. They are starting to get little bulbs, as you can see, but I'm like, wow, this is taking forever. Anxiously just waiting on those onions. My California Wonder, they've had a lot of slug damage. I'm hoping they pull through. Then we've got these tomatoes here. It's the same big slicers we talked about on the deck. And a back view here of the area we looked at yesterday of the tomatoes on the trellis. And they always do really well on that trellis. So anxious to get a lot of tomatoes this year. I'm overly anxious. I have had a few of the dwarf, micro dwarf cherry tomatoes coming in. They were really yummy. It was called Cocoa Cherry. I think I will grow those again. You can see as the evening is coming to an end, the deer are making their pathway through here, my back. Just as long as they stay on that side of the fence is all I can say. All right, guys. Well, I hope y'all are doing well. I hope you're back in the garden if you had to take a break like I did. And I will see you soon.